Hey everybody, how are you? Whitney with Girl Friday Crafts. Happy Friday. I'm so freaking glad it's Friday. I'm a couple minutes early, but when the Book of Faces gods smile on you and let everything go the way it's supposed to, you just run with it. Uh, and you don't say, no, wait, I'm not supposed to be live for 2 more minutes. All right, I can see myself. That's always a good thing. Looks like I am where I'm supposed to be. Put this up where I can see comments. Somebody let me know if you all can see me. I can see me. But until I see, yep, okay, I see eyeballs on me. So we are good to go. Okay, so I am Whitney with Girl Friday Crafts. Some of you I know because I've seen names in the comments, and obviously I have my crafting peeps along with me in this group. Some of you, I am new to you, so I'm excited to be here, and really happy to be part of this event. Really excited about being part of the Hive, presenting and creating for the Hive going forward. Been dabbling in, I've been a paper crafter for as long as I can remember. Hey, Teresa. I've been dabbling in creating my own, doing my own designs for several months now, and I'm really enjoying it. And so that's going to be a very fun venture for me. And Serena, my love, we could not live without your special kind of extra. So when I say that your 75% is everybody else's 10, believe me, that is a compliment, and a recognition that I have the "we're not worthy, we're not worthy, we're not worthy" from Wayne's World, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, one of those two, in my head. So we're going to get started today. I'm doing a little more technique than finished project. Although there will be a couple of, hello Leanne, a couple of almost finished projects in here along the way. So as part of my business ventures, I am a Chalk Couture designer. And for anybody who doesn't know, Chalk Couture is a high-end DIY home decor company, although home decor is so not all it is anymore. And I use chalk in a lot of my paper crafting, and I still come across people when I do lives and things like that, who'll be like, oh, I didn't know you could chalk on that. And so I thought this would be a really fun way to bring these two parts of my life together, because you can use your Chalk Couture transfers to make your own embellishments, to add elements to your paper crafting projects, all of those kinds of things. So we are going to do a little bit of that today. Now, let's see. Oh, I got to bring it up because I'm going to tell you all the wrong stuff if I don't have it sitting in front of me. So in the description for my live, and it looks really jumbled on my end, so I don't necessarily like how it looks. I will post it when I'm finished to make it a little bit easier. But you have this spring, Hurry Spring. That's what I was feeling today. Hey, Myrna, how are you? Hurry Spring pocket tags. So this is, the link is in the, wow, okay, like it's my first time live, y'all. The link is in the description. I'll drop a link in the group as well. But this is free with code SPRING26 through Monday. And if this looks kind of familiar, it was absolutely 100% inspired by Serena's Shabby Chic tags from last year. Just added sort of my own color scheme and my own, none of this looks like it goes together kind of style of designing. Hello, Miss Serena, to this. So use that link. Spring 26 will get you this for free until Monday. So we're going to play with this. There is a sale on another printable that we're going to be playing with today. That link is also in the description, as well as just where to find me. And some of my paper crafting products, which are very similar to some of Serena's and some of the other crafters. We all share and oftentimes land on the same favorites. Not that that's a big surprise. So this pocket tag kit has all kinds of, as you might imagine, tags and pockets. But what we're doing here is, instead of printing double-sided on this patterned paper, I added in some solid but textured pages. And this is what we're going to use to make our double-sided tags. And what we're going to then use to add our chalk elements to this. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use this green on the inside of this here. Best fussy cutting scissors ever. I have two pair, well, I have multiple pair of these. I have two different styles. I have these actually came with my sewing machine, along with sewing scissors, and I love those, but these Cutter Bee scissors are a dream. And I like fussy cutting scissors because the blades are shorter and they do not get in the way. So I cut out as much of this as I could, given the fact that I was working on this at 11 o'clock Central earlier today, because I had an idea last night. And then this morning, no shock to anybody who knows me well, I went, oh, no, I want to do X instead. So we're sitting here creating a whole new design, and, you know, putting together a whole new plan. Like, the concept hadn't changed. I knew from the day that Serena and Teresa came to us about this event that I wanted, I am also a Tombow glue stick girl, that I wanted to do something combining Chalk Couture and paper crafting. So that was not different. That stayed the same. But I had a just totally different idea about how I was going to do that. And so, you know, it happens. We change our minds and we roll with it. Oh, I'm going to show you this so I can get it out of the way. Every Friday, I do a free printable on my website. This week's is this little mini accordion tag. It is not up there yet. It will be up there shortly. Actually, there's two pages to it. There's the design, the page to make this, and then the other page is all like vintage paper. So it's all the vintagey browns and things like that. So that will be up here in a little bit. I think the link should be in the video description as well. So I'm just going to glue that together. I could have set this up in the PDF in order so that you could print double-sided, but number one, I didn't want to confine people to a certain color scheme for each page. And two, my printer can be a little bee sometimes when it comes to double-sided printing. And again, because I was doing this, like, you know, 3 hours ago, like, you know what, let's just do it this way. We're not going to put the whole thing together. We're just going to do a couple of examples. And then I'm going to show you a couple of things and give you some ideas. And so taking a little time to cut is you know, not that big a deal. And you all are all paper crafters. You know what it's like. Cutting is like 75% of the project. And that's okay. Up next after me this afternoon was Mary with Hog Wild Designs. And she and I have been talking the past couple of days about what we're doing for this event, and her stuff is so stinking cute. Now, normally what I do, and I didn't do it today because I'm talking, is I would normally fold this before I glued it down, because I just feel like if you do that, it folds a little bit better once you've done this and given yourself like a double-sided pocket or folder or tag or anything like that, especially when it's, you know, good thick paper. When I'm printing a sample just on my normal paper or something that I'm just playing around with, I don't necessarily have to do that. And this will fold fine, it will, but just a little tip that I kind of forgot about. Again, like Serena, keep my scraps. They're great for shaker cards. I am going to get my bone folder for this, which is where? Right here. How is everybody today? How's everybody's weather today? How's everybody feeling today, other than, you know, Serena, man, I'm sending you good vibes, hun. I know what it's like to be on the cusp of that and like it's coming. You can tell. We are getting warmer weather here in central Illinois. I can actually see grass in my backyard, which is really nice. Ooh, that did not fold right. This would be a nice opportunity to bust out my scoring board, but that's okay. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that picky with it. I'm going to take this. We're going to fold it and really just kind of line it up with the edges and then score it. So we've got that, and we'll glue that like that. So we've got our little pocket you can stick stuff in. We're going to do some things to this first. So I went through and pulled out a bunch of, yeah, we might have to use that. Spring inspired Chalk Couture transfers that had some like vintagey looking elements to it. Ooh, I like that though. Because where is, pulled this one out too. So this is coming with the Chalk spring release, but I believe that this is one of the, I'm going to call it Hostess Rewards. I don't think that's right. But there's 3 free transfers that you get automatically with a minimum purchase from this release, and they're not part of the retail sale, and I think this might be one of them. And I love this, and I love this. So that honeycomb would be really pretty on the inside of that. And we can put a little bead on top of it. Oh, we're getting super fancy now, y'all. All right. Got to watch my time. Aren't they gorgeous? Myrna, have you looked at the spring stuff? I have some of it. I pulled some of it out. Stuff that kind of fit. Oh, Serena, I pulled this one out. You might have a t-shirt coming your way, honey. Let me find it. Actually, I shouldn't show it to you because I should make it a surprise, but it's just too funny. I think you need this for Easter. Just saying. Of course, pink, you know. Yeah, there's some really cute stuff. And then they still haven't given us definitive dates on when Harry Potter is dropping and when Friends is dropping. However, we were told the other night that we were going to be very happy. I think Tarina told us the second and third week of this month. It might have been third and fourth, and I'm just praying for second and third. So I'm trying to manage my expectations, but it's hard because I actually thought we were going to have Harry Potter by now. I thought that was actually releasing at the end of January. And that might have been the original plan, but sometimes things take longer, design, creation, transport, all of those things. Actually, I think I'm going to grab some gray. This is what happens when I don't have it all completely figured out. Okay, so back up and not assume everybody knows what I'm talking about. So the Chalk Couture transfers, they're stencils. We call them transfers. Same difference, but they are adhesive silk screen. So they look like this. They come on a backer sheet and they're sticky. And because they're sticky, that's why people are like, wait, you can't use that on paper. But you can. Set myself a timer here. There's a couple of steps you need to take that you might not have to necessarily take to create on wood or a chalk surface or anything like that, or t-shirt, but you can absolutely do this on paper. And Myrna has seen me do it on paper, so she knows it's true. And so I'm going to take our surface wax and we're going to put some of that on this right here. I don't always use surface wax. If you've seen my YouTube channel, if you're in my VIP group on Facebook or see me in any other events, I talk about the fact that I don't always use surface wax. Sometimes I will just fuzz the heck out of my transfer. Sometimes it depends on the surface. Like if I'm using a wood surface and it's really rough and I can tell, I'm like, I'll wax that because I'm going to have trouble with that. But if it's nice and it's smooth, if it's a Chalk Couture surface, sometimes I just kind of roll the dice. And you don't want to use wax on plastic or glass because it does leave a little bit of a film, and you don't want that to show up. However, 99.9% of the time, if I am working with paper, I will put the surface wax on it because it just gives you that added barrier to make it a little bit easier to pull everything up. So we're going to let that sit for a second. And then we're going to come over here and I'm going to take my transfer. So this is, what transfer is this? This is actually from 2024. Wow. Called Beehive. Y'all, I have so much. Oh, I have so much. I will be working on de-stashing my Chalk Couture transfers throughout the year. So take that link to my Facebook VIP group that's in the video description. Hop in and join us or follow me on Whatnot. Oh, I didn't put that in there. Forgot to put that link on there. Because I just, you know how when you start something new and you get super excited about it and you buy all the things? Yeah. And let me tell you something. If my craft business was my full-time job, it would be a different story. But since right now I still have to have another a real full-time job, there's just not enough hours in the day. And so, yeah, I have so much I want to use it. But then we have things like, uh, a licensing agreement with Warner Brothers. And we're going to get Harry Potter transfers and Friends transfers and Christmas Vacation transfers and Elf transfers. And we know I'm buying all of those, every last one of them. And so, we got to make room for that stuff. So, yeah. So if you're new to Chalk and want to try it out, or if you are a fan of Chalk and are looking for some retired transfers or things like that, hop into that VIP group or follow me on Whatnot. Because I've got transfers to spare. Okay. So, yeah. So if this was, there's one step with the wax that I forgot, which is to buff it off. However, I don't use very much on the wax. I use just sort of a light amount. And the paper kind of absorbs it. So a lot of times I don't actually do that. It can clog your transfer, but to be perfectly honest, I've never really had that problem. So we're going to take my paste and my squeegee, and this is a color called Ash. Just a nice dark gray. Really good for vintage. Yes, I am getting paste all over the backer sheet. That is fine. It will clean off easily. Normally I have water with me when I chalk to put my transfer in when I'm done, but I didn't worry about that today. I'll just put it on the backer sheet. And then these are reusable. They were supposed to say 8 to 12 times. Y'all, I have transfers I have used upwards of 20 times, and they still work just fine. The better you take care of them, the longer they will last, which really just means not letting the paste or ink dry on them too much. Getting them washed, dried, stored, makes all the difference in the world. Now, I have transfers that I used once and I screwed it up and ruined it. But, hey, that's okay. All right. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold this paper down as best I can with my fingers. Try not to stick my fingers in wet paste. That's half the battle sometimes. And that's just peeling up nice and clean. Not peeling up any of my paper because we put that surface wax down. And so now on the inside of this tag, we have this little honeycomb pattern. So I'm going to take this and just drop it back on the backer sheet, and I'm going to stick that over to the side to get it out of my way. Now we're going to let that dry before we drop a little bumblebee element on there. Yeah, that's really pretty. I really like that honeycomb pattern. I don't use it enough for as much as I actually really like that pattern. And then we're going to do a couple of these tags. And I'm going to get a different type of paper. Which one was this one? Oh, yeah. Right. So I'm going to drop a couple of these. Actually, no. No, that's fine. because we're not going to do it that way. Never mind. Momentary pause. And so you've got all kinds of options with the transfers, because you've got transfers that you can use as background. You've got transfers that you can use as sentiments. And really you can use any size. Obviously the larger the transfers, because these go all the way up to 18 by 24. I mean, there's some big boys out there. The larger the size, the harder they are to manipulate and maneuver. But just because it is a larger transfer doesn't mean you can't use it in your paper crafting. You just have to figure out what element you want. You can also take if you have a scanner, you can take a B-size transfer, which is this right here, the 8.5 by 11. You could put this whole entire design on a piece of paper, and if you have a scanner, you could scan it in, shrink it, and then print it out, and then use that as your element. These two, and I'm going to cut these out. Actually, we're going to let those dry for a second before I cut those out. I'm going to show you all something else. So these are my, let me grab one of these. So it's finished, sort of. Where's the one I did yesterday? Okay, so these are my coffee gift card holder. This one right here. Yes, this is one of my favorites. So this was a Chalk Couture transfer from last year. No, goodness, 2024. Wow, that's that old. Man. And I love this one because it's the reverse negative space. So all of this white is where the design goes, or where your paste goes. And then where it's green stays the color of your surface. So for, hold up. Squirrel. So I painted watercolor paper black and then did this design over it. Now it actually peeled up the watercolor paper because I didn't leave the paint long enough before I chalked on it. I actually love how it turned out, but you have this just reversed image, whereas normally your image is the, hey Penny, the image is the honeycomb. So imagine that we had chalked and the honeycomb design stayed the color of the paper and the chalk paste went through everywhere else, and it just gives you that reverse. So we've had a few of those come out over the past couple of years, and they're really very cool. Just a different approach to it. So these are my Valentine's Day coffee cup holders. This is what you have not a discount code for, but you have a link for, they're on sale right now. And what I did was I created a version of that where some of the paper, some of the designs were just solid color without a pattern, so that we could put some Valentine's Day sentiments on either the outside little pocket or the inside. And then I separated the little notes section from it, because if we did a background there, you could just layer that on top of that. So I've got, like, somewhere I should have kept my Valentine's transfer separate from all the rest of them, but I thought I did. Oh yeah, they're right here. Right in front of me. So we have one that's just little hearts. Where's my, well, that's okay. So for example, if we took this that just says love and put it on here, you could let that dry and then cut out your little notes section and drop that on top of it, so you have the background transfer. So if we have time, we'll play with that too. And so that just is to have a way to think about, you know, how you use your printables and incorporate just plain pieces of paper. Like Serena was saying, use your own creativity with how you use your printables. Incorporate your own stash. Thank you, Penny. There's a couple of things on sale right now. You know, use your printables, make yourself some templates so that you can bring certain things into other designs or other projects. Incorporate your own pattern papers or solid color papers. There is nothing wrong with doing a project as intended, right? But half of the fun is thinking about, oh, what else could I do with this? What else could I bring into this? How could I think about this differently? What layers could I add to this? That sort of thing. Okay, so we've got that, makes that double-sided. And nope, that's the piece of paper. Where's my, oh, here it is. And so, you know, that's kind of the fun part. And one of my challenges for 2026 for myself is to do more mixed media using my my significantly large stash of Chalk Couture transfers. How do I incorporate that into paper crafting, or how do I bring paper crafting into my chalk world, into my repurposing, that sort of thing. I got this. The other thing, well, no, okay, focus. I'll get to that. So we've got these, and we're going to take my hole punch, and we're going to punch a hole in that. And then I pulled out from the, okay, I have too many transfers sitting over here. I pulled out from the spring release. So this, the spring chalk spring release goes live on the 10th. What day is that? Is that Wednesday of next? No, that's Tuesday of next week. And so these are two of the transfers that are coming in that release of little eggs, and then these little. This is called, is this retro? Yeah, retro prints. So I like this. I like these florals too, but I really like this. Trying to get my crafting organized to be able to work on projects. Yes. Penny, are you watching my organizing videos on my YouTube channel? So that's my other passion, to be, that's weird. I'm a crafter that likes to be organized. So I do have, every Wednesday, I have a new organizing video on my YouTube channel. And this year we're kind of trying to follow a little bit of a theme. So that I'm kind of building upon things from week to week. So we're going to use this on both of these because that makes it easy to just chalk all at once. Let me get my surface wax out again. I need a bigger desk. Actually, I don't need a bigger desk. A bigger desk would just mean more space to make a mess on. But I need baskets or something on my desk, I think. Like things to put stuff in as I'm working to kind of keep stuff organized while I'm working on projects. Put the wax on those, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just buff that off. Then normally you just wait 2 or 3 minutes, flip your wax applicator over, and buff it off. You do not have to have a wax applicator. Microfiber cloth works. Don't use anything that's going to leave fuzz. And I was not a big fan of these because I could never get the wax out. But another designer, it might even been a retail customer, posted in design our Chalk Couture design studio a while back. I don't know why this never occurred to me, but she just takes and puts these in a pot on the stove with dish soap and lets it boil, lets them sit for about 5 minutes, takes them out, throws them in the dryer. And I had about 4 of these wax applicators that had been used. And I tried it last night and I was like, oh, that works like a dream. They're all nice and fluffy and not clogged anymore. It's great. I need to go back to that post and be like, you are amazing. Thank you so much. All right, so close this. We're going to use one of the new colors that is coming out in the spring release. Here in a second. And you can also use Chalk Couture ink on paper crafting projects. Sometimes I actually prefer to use the ink. It dries differently. And so I don't feel like it shrinks as much when it dries. And so sometimes it actually might work a little better. It's going to feel a little weird until it's completely cured. It's going to feel tacky. It's not going to be wet, but the ink is intended to be heat set. So when you're not heat setting it and you're just letting it air dry, it takes a little bit for that tacky feel to go away. But it does go away. So I'm going to put those down on here. And then because I've got purple on the, oh, that's weird. Huh. You know, a technology can be a pain sometimes. So this is the new ink color that is coming with the spring collection. It's called Lilac. And I'm going to open this over my trash can because these jars burp sometimes. And I've had that happen and gotten paste or ink everywhere. Another squeegee. And then you could easily take, you know, any chalk design, background pattern, sentiment, half of a sentiment, anything like that, put it on paper and fussy cut it out and use that as an element for paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, anything like that. And then that gives you some options for dimension and stuff as well, because you can then attach it to whatever with glue, with a foam dot, you know, create some cool layers. You can do it on fabric. You can use paste on the fabric if you're not going to wash it. So, you know, if you've got some fabric that you want to create an embellishment with, and you have Chalk Couture paste, but not ink. If you're not going to wash it, it's totally fine. Peel those up nice and slow. That is a very pretty color. I was very excited about having a nice purple ink. So there's the back of our tag, and there's the front. So we've got, you know, a little bit of corresponding color in there, which, you know, is not always me. I kind of have a tendency to be all over the place. That's not quite purple, but I think that goes well anyway. Ah, thank you, Serena. Yeah, Penny, I will say I've never had any issues with the YouTube app on my phone or TV. I don't, which is pretty much the only way I watch YouTube. But so we got those. And then you could let that dry. And if you had a sentiment or another design, like we could easily take one of those bumblebees or one of those eggs, or a floral. I didn't pull it out. I have a transfer that has, well, this has some little bitty florals. But like in this little design with the chickens, we've got some little bitty florals. If you just wanted to use that, you could layer something like that on top of this. That's true. That's fair, Serena. Or again, with a piece of paper, put the design on and layer it on top of that. Or use another stencil. You could use another stencil on top of that, like a non-chalk with your inks and things like that. It'll go over it just fine. Try and get those out of my way. Trying not to. The hardest part about that sometimes is picking up something that you just used your anchor paste on to okay, those are going to be too big. So we're going to use these to move it, and then you're trying to find a corner to pull from. Transfer scissors. So this is a layering transfer. I'm trying to decide if I have time. I don't know that I have time to show you how to do that, but see how these are the exact same. So what you would do is, let's say I wanted to put this down in black. I would put this down in black, let it dry, and then I would lay this on top of it once it was dry, and then go over it in yellow or whatever, you know, other color I wanted. You don't have to do it that way, but you can, so that it gives you just that added element of dimension, especially if you're doing something on a clear surface, or like on vellum or something like that. That would look really cool, because then you've got your, it'll give you that layered look. So we're going to use all 3 of those beads on the inside of this. I could have fuzzed these first and then cut them. That would have probably been a little more efficient, but what's the fun in that? So this is the Chalk Couture fuzzing cloth. You do not have to have this. I have like 10 of them, but that's a different conversation. You can use a microfiber towel. You can use a terry cloth towel. Again, just anything that's not going to leave fuzz on your transfer, and this just takes a little bit of that sticky off to make it a little easier to pull up. The longer you've had transfer, the more you've used it, the less necessary this step becomes. But that's a transfer I've never used, so, and I'm working on paper, so we're gonna do this a little bit. And put all of these down. Now, I'm not waxing again. This may or may not be a problem because I'm chalking on top of paste. Now the surface itself has already been waxed, but we're going to see. Now I am using a shimmer paste here, which our shimmers I find are a little bit more forgiving in these kinds of instances. So we will hope it plays nice with me. We're just going to use this in Shimmer Frost, mostly because it's just what I have right in front of me. I wasn't thinking about using this transfer when I first started, even though I pulled it out. So I didn't like grab black or yellow or anything like that. And it's just nice and just a little hint of a design, not overpowering. Not real, just real subtle. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Those back on there. There's my 15-minute morning. Doing good. And then obviously you can do this with cards. And that is probably one of the things that I do the most in terms of chalk and paper crafting, is use them to make cards. I made some Valentine's Day cards using the Peanuts transfers. Hey, Carrie. I have those transfers sitting out here somewhere. I don't have the cards. They're in my vendor space, but I think the cards are on my YouTube channel. But part of the Peanuts Valentine's release was called Classic Peanuts Valentine. And it was kind of like the old school, like Valentines that we used to get when we were kids, to give to our classmates. Really, really cute. So I made some cards using those, as well as, well, hold on, let me pull this up over here first. The longer I let this sit, the more of a problem it's going to be. Don't have my detail tool. I have a little tool that has a pointy edge. Makes it really easy to get the corners and lift the transfers up. Okay. So there's our bumblebees. My wings on these bottom two, or my wings didn't really come through. I don't know if that's because of the paste. I don't know if that's actually because I did not buff off that wax and maybe there was a little bit too much wax there. Thank you, Carrie. But you can see the bee and it's a nice subtle design anyway, so not really that big of a deal. Now obviously I'm going to let that dry, but then once it's dry, you would just ink the edges of your tag, and your assembly here is just going to be to fold this in right here, this tab at the bottom, and with the adhesive of your choice, you can use score tape, glue, glue stick, liquid glue. You'll just glue that down. Now, if you want to put a little bit of glue on, you know, this corner here, so it holds a little bit, you can do that, especially because we've made this double-sided. This is pretty thick, so it might need a little extra help, like maybe both double-sided tape and like a glue stick to help hold that down. And then in this kit, you have another like little folder like this that folds in thirds and then closes and then has the tab on there to stick inside of this. Let me see if I can cut this. How fast can she cut? Let's find out. We're not going to make this double-sided right now. I will do that later. And yes, you know, you look at these designs and you're like, really? Does all that go together? Y'all, that's just, I don't know. It's how my brain works. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's pretty. I'm going to put all of those together. Not one single common color element to be found in here, but that's okay. Thank you, Marna. A good vote of confidence. But it's funny to me how sometimes it just all sort of comes together and you look at it and you're like, you know, when I first started, I like, really, what in the world was I thinking? But because all this gets bent and folded and you don't see it all at once in the finished project, it kind of makes it different. And then once you add like some ink, some like distressing ink, I don't know, there's something about all of that that just blends it all together. And so this is your freebie. And like I said, the description on my end looked a little weird once I dropped it on Facebook. Maybe on your all's end it looks okay. But I will come back into the group and make a post with all of the links and everything that are a little bit easier to grab. And this is free until Monday. My mini accordion tag, my freebie Friday, will be up in a little bit. This way. And then the Valentine's Day tags, and I want to show you one more thing about those Valentine's Day tags. So that folds over like that. And then when you get this closed, that should actually be dry. It slides in like that. So it kind of looks like it's all one piece, but then this just slides in and out. And then you've got this little pocket that can go on the back, and you stick your tags down in there. And then you've got another little pocket like that. And you can actually layer that on one on top of the other. And then you've got 5 sheets of patterned paper in this to use as double-sided. You also can make the tags themselves double-sided just by gluing them together. I already did that tag, so I can't do that. Wait, yes I can. Where's the other one? Here it is. So you could take this tag, if, you know, removing the Chalk Couture elements from this, you have, okay, I don't know where it went. There's another tag this size, but you could glue those together. Oh, here it is. It's right here. Oh my goodness. You glue these together like that and make those double-sided. And you can still chalk on a pattern like this. The trick there is to think about your color. So the darker the color of the paper, the lighter you want your ink or paste to be, so that, and vice versa. Here's a couple of the other colors that are coming in the spring release. This is Lime Sorbet. This is called Taffy. This is called Sea Glass. I am very excited to play with that particular color. I think she's gorgeous. And then the other thing that you can do, which is really very fun, is play with the shrink plastic. So who remembers Shrinky Dinks from when we were little? You can, let's see, let me get the shrink plastic. So you can get these shrink plastic sheets, and I think they come larger than this, but you can chalk your design on the shrink plastic, put it in the oven, and it shrinks it like a Shrinky Dink. And then you have all kinds of little embellishments or charms. Now, I didn't catch these quick enough. They're not flat. It's got a little curve to it, but that's okay. And I trimmed mine out way too small. Now, this one is fine. Where's the little, I have little lips that I cut way too small. And our Cupid, that one trimmed out okay. But you do have to leave yourself a little bit of room when you trim these down. But this is really, really fun and a really cool way. So on these, this one's better. On these cards, these little dangles that, you know, I have as the paper, you've got this, you know, these 3 elements that you cut out and you ink and you put together. Instead of doing a paper one like this, you could make one from your chalk transfers using that shrink plastic. I was going to actually take one off of those sweaters and put it on here to show you all, forgetting that I had already adhered the twine inside my sweater and attached. So I'm not taking that apart, but I forgot. Okay. That was a lot. And a lot of me all over the place, which is actually not terribly unusual. Just saying. But I appreciate you all hanging out with us today. I hope you're having a good time. I'm having a ball. The projects have been super amazing, as I fully expected, and you've got more amazing stuff coming your way. So we've got Mary with Hog Wild Designs coming up, and then then one more person after Mary, and I can't remember who, and then we will be back tomorrow. Let's see, let me look this up real quick. I have a minute. I looked it up earlier to see who was after me, and then did not. Serena, who's closing us out today? Do you remember? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Right in front of my face. Oh, Teresa. Teresa's coming back to close us out today. And then you've got a handful of more folks tomorrow bringing you some amazing projects. So thanks to you all for hanging out. Say hi to Mary here in just a few minutes, and I will see you all later. Bye, everybody.